Hello everybody, I'm Jade the Willow, and welcome back to the world of Arlancy. We're going to focus on building up this island so it's a unique fantasy tropical paradise because I want to put in a pirate hideout. I'm really excited about the hideout and I wanted to do a good job, and I just felt like if I did the hideout and the landscaping in the same video, both would be a little subpar, and we don't want that. So, oh, my bird. I want to go through a few of my processes and inspiration points so that you can be inspired, well, hopefully inspired, to create your own worlds. We're going to be focusing on tropical today, but a lot of what I'm talking about you can apply to whatever sort of vibe or theme you have. Alright, so what I'd like to try for this video is to minimize the amount of time-lapse building and to try doing a little bit more this style of building where we just do little clips and I kind of talk through and you build with me essentially. And I want to see what people think, maybe what they prefer, so let me know if you have any thoughts. As you can probably tell, we are going to bring things out a little fantastically large. Right now, the first thing I'm going to try building is a bird of paradise flower, which I found when I was looking up tropical plants, and they're so pretty. I thought I want to try building that. Right now I'm trying to work on the leaves, which are spiky and they don't actually really look anything like this. But for the big giant leaves, having the whole block is kind of intense. Wow, if any of you actually see these in real life, please don't cry at my build. It's fantasy fun inspired by birds of paradise flowers. Not going for an exact replica here. I don't really have any good slab options that would work. Alright, sure. Excuse me, parrot. Excuse me, parrot. Doesn't seem quite right, but you know, not bad. What do we think? Good enough for our fantasy landscape? Oh my goodness, I forgot the blue part. There's a blue part that sticks out, and I was super excited about it. Kind of like that. It gets a little purpley. That's why we don't build with our pets. I'm so excited. This will be a great addition to the island. For this second part, we're gonna switch to something a little bit more natural and normal and not so ginormously fantasy, and we're gonna create a palm tree. Now, there are a lot of different types of palm trees, and I'm kind of going for that very classic first thing that pops into your mind when you think of white sandy beaches. Each one of these is supposed to sort of represent like a palm tree frond. However, if we were gonna do something a little bit more realistic, it would need to have all of the leaves coming off. I don't know what the little parts are called. I guess we can try. I've never done it before. I had a plan, changing my plan. I think this will be fun. It'll fill it out more, whether that's something we end up wanting or not. And then the other thing I always try to keep in mind for my palm trees, this one's really crazy. I really didn't do it with this one, but I try to alternate so that one layer is, you know, maybe the straight perpendicular, and then the next layer covers the crisscrossy ones like this that go at the diagonal, and then generally I'll put in a third layer, and sometimes I'll kind of fill it in between the diagonal and straight blocks. Sometimes it works and sometimes I just add another repeating layer, and whichever one kind of fills it out well enough. And sometimes at the end you kind of realize, oh, like right here we have a little bit of a blank spot. It's a little silly. Let's keep adding in leaves. Okay, what do we think of that? It looks pretty weird, right? It needs more. I want to get it to work. I don't want to give up. Now, do we think that these are too normal compared to this thing over here? I think maybe, but rather than change either option, I want to try to create something that's sort of a middle ground that balances them out, because I'd really like to keep the giant things. I think that would be fun, and I really like the palm trees too. But next, I have a completely fantasy plant, going to be kind of like coral that you'd find in the ocean, except it's going to be up on the island instead, and it's going to bring in some more color. Okay, so the coral inspiring this part is called, and I did look up how to pronounce it, and it was very difficult, but it's something like foliosis. It's kind of like a mix between a flower and a mushroom, and I think it kind of gets lighter on the edge and it's a darker color in the center. I've picked it out and I think they're more yellowy and brown, but I don't want to put yellowy brown on my magical island, so instead we're going to make it pink and then do a yellowy green, because the green will show up nicely. And it's so exciting because now there are so many shades of pink and pink adjacent colors with slabs. Sorry, I didn't finish the sentence. If you haven't seen any other videos I've done in this location, this world, which is called Arlancy, you might be kind of confused as to why I'm adding coral on top of the island, or why there's parts that don't have any water covered, it's not covered in water. And that is because this is a very tropical fantasy, larger than life world. At least that's the goal. And I was kind of interested in making it because it was a little bit different than what I had been building, and I thought it would be fun to experiment with. When I was younger, I wanted to be a marine biologist, except that the ocean terrifies me, so that didn't really work out. It's okay. Hey, that's pretty cool. I like it. It's so colorful. I hardly ever build with that much pink. This just looks like a random blob of a plant. So last time I made an island that I wanted to be a sort of lush tropical paradise. I did a video on it, and I had some, I thought I was pretty happy with the plants that I created. However, the area that I was building didn't to feel filled out and busy. So I feel like making a lot of low to the ground plants will help with that. And what I'm trying to do with this one is I feel like a lot of tropical plants have very broad leaves. I did not become a marine biologist or any other type of biologist. I only took 3 years of science in high school, so I could not tell you why, and I have not looked it up. Not quite as cohesive, but definitely different than that. Next, I need to see how the island kind of looks filled out with the different things we have. I'll make a couple more palm trees and a couple more folios. Oh boy, I really shouldn't be saying it this many times. Make some more of those round spirally corals. Thinking we're gonna need another plant made out of solid blocks instead of leaf blocks. I think we'll need another one of those to kind of balance it out, and I'll try to make it smaller, more like on one of these 2 levels. Alright, so I've got my 2 parrots, 2 friends to keep me company, and I've pretty much finished most of what I need for the island decorating or whatever. We've got our trees. I made some giant ones. I also added in another variation of the coral folios things and one set in a different color, which I really like. Maybe we should put some... Oh, wait a second. That's not the right... What am I thinking? Okay, let's just go paste some things in. So I'm in the process of pasting in and adding in some more trees, but I wanted to show you. Look, I got another parrot. She's so cute. Also not named, but that's okay. Soon I will have the entire collection of little parrot friends. I want to tell you about my process when I'm filling in this island with, I was going to say trees, but there are some non-tree things in here. I'm just looking at this as a whole. We've got a pretty good amount of trees. I have more than I'm going to add in, so it will be even more dense. But one thing that I can tell is really missing is all of this free space down towards the ground. If this area over here is supposed to be dense jungle, it's not very dense. There's so much space to do whatever you want. You could throw a party. Maybe that's what the pirates are doing. And we will leave some areas a little less populated. I want to add in at least one waterfall. Well, actually, it was a comment by one of you guys in one of my other Arlancy videos that one thing to help the waterfalls have a little bit more depth would be to fill out behind it so that it's not just one layer of water, you've got multiple layers of water. But I'm also going to use some blocks to create sort of shadowy look. Well, the water's falling. Now if we just fill out this top area with some leaves and moss and a few more green things, I think that will help make a huge difference. It's so exciting getting to use some of the new blocks. I haven't actually used the pale moss block in building yet, but I think it's working out pretty well. Okay, what do we think? This part's now very empty and plain compared to this, and so is the rest of the things, but it's a decent start. Okay guys, don't screech in excitement, but I see another one. Which is good because we are going to need these for the little pirate hideout we're building next time. Come on, parrot, love me, love me. Excuse me. Oh, okay, whew, there he is. Now we have to go put him by the others. So you might be wondering why the parrots have been banished to this island. They have not been banished. They're very important. It's just if I have them following me around, then they risk getting suffocated when I paste in a bush or a tree, which definitely did not happen. So we're gonna give them a nice little paradise of their own over here. What kind of flowers? We'll use the cactus flowers because they're new and exciting. And they don't have to be on grass. There we go. Cute. If we get more, I'll make it better. They're gonna be the stars of our show. It's going to be titled something like A Magical Tropical Landscape and Parrots. Because I'm pretty sure at this point, they're about half my footage. Alright, so I mentioned a couple times that I want to do at least one more little-ish flower type plant. So I'm using blocks that flow together. We have the moss, which is a much more natural block than the terracotta and the concrete, but it's still solid, and then I'm mixing that in with the azalea leaves since it's the same color, and then we can mix in the leaf thing. And I was thinking about the torch flowers I made for the cliffs. And if you watched that video, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't watch that video, I made giant torch flowers that are kind of like what I'm doing right now. Except they were better because they were a little bigger and it gave me a little bit more room to play. But I want them to be really small because even that I'm worried is a little too big. But my hope is that it'll bridge the gap between like our more realistic palm trees and the unrealistic giant birds of paradise flowers and the coral things. And this isn't supposed to be realistic, it's supposed to be a fantasy world. But still, I want it to work together as best as I can get it. I gave the birds a palm tree. I think that'll be good. And then I'm gonna do one that's more red. Oh my goodness, I had an idea. I am going to make some giant Venus flytraps in one area on the island, and it's going to be dangerous, and it's going to set us up for a future video I have, pirate treasure hunt adventure wise. Anyway, I'm so excited. Let's go figure out how to do that. Venus flytraps are kind of all in one little group together, but they're very delicate. Oh, it looks so weird. It needs the little teethy things, and there's nothing that matches this green. It's a really big stretch of the imagination. I could do something like this. I guess maybe that. This, because this looks so metally. It's kind of scary. And then I just need to make a whole bunch at different angles. And then we just have to keep the parrots away, so they don't eat the parrots, because that would be very bad. As I was reading about Venus flytraps some more, just in case there's any helpful information. And apparently they're only really found in North and South Carolina in the US, which seems like I just assumed they were found way more places. But maybe everybody just knows about them because they're such a crazy plant. looks like a clamshell. I think that one looks a lot better, but you know, hopefully they'll get the picture. But that is for a future video. So hopefully that gave you a whole bunch of ideas, inspiration points, so that you can create your own tropical landscape filled with many, many parrots. Next, we're gonna stay on this island and we're gonna transform this area here into a solar punk pirate hideout. So it's gonna be interesting. It's going to be a mix between fantasy and futurism, solar punk, which is, I don't know, kind of modern, kind of futury. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I've had a blast. I hope you feel inspired, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!